910 Sports with Icon E and Jacob the Great. The podcasters who speak their minds, not afraid to go against the grain, while discussing the latest topics in the NBA, NFL, college football, basketball, and more. Giving the latest interviews and spotlighting the youth of today and tomorrow, and the coaches who put it all together while building championship programs.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon. We're here once again. Thank God this morning we're here once again for 910 Sports, episode 15. We have a packed show. We have a couple of guests coming on this morning. So, you know, I'm actually just change my theme song. My theme that y'all hear, my little commercial. I'm get my son to give me a little updated commercial here soon. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, we got a packed show. You know what I mean? We want to talk about this college football weekend, NFL predictions, couple of guests coming on. Just standing by waiting on my co-hosts to come on. They should be on here in a minute or whatever. Hope everybody's having so far a good holiday or whatever. So I got to get this thing, set this thing off here in a minute. Let's see where we at. But anyway, man, yesterday, man, was a crazy day in college football. I don't really know what's going on with Georgia. This is a repeated pattern with Georgia. Year in and year out, they cannot beat Alabama. And yesterday seemed like, what's up, Nikki? Yesterday seemed like the perfect opportunity for Georgia to finally get Alabama. They had the number one defense in the country. They was lights out. They was blowing everybody out throughout the entire season. They had a historical record as far as statistical record as far as only giving up like 7 points a game or something ridiculous over the time throughout the season. So I don't know why. Now I did say this, and you know, if y'all see, I am a Washington Redskins fan, or whatever, Washington football team, whatever you call it, fan. And I said this, that Stinson for Georgia reminds me of Tyler Heineke of Washington. He can use his legs. He can make plays, but he's limited in what he can do. He's not necessarily he can manage the game. He can make some plays, but when the rubber meets the road, can he do enough to win? And I think that's the issue with him. I don't really think he can do enough to win ball games or whatever over the long haul. So I think that's what kind of showed up yesterday. I think what finally showed up yesterday was that he basically, for the most part, you know what I mean, he did everything he could to try to win that game, but he just limited. And the thing about what I seen the most yesterday with Georgia was that they couldn't stop those wide receivers. As good as that front seven is, Williams and Meacham, they could not do nothing with them. And if that front seven wasn't getting enough pressure on Bryce Young, and Bryce Young, he's like the upgraded version of like a Jalen Hurts. He's a little faster, a little stronger. I don't know if I say faster, but he's probably stronger, and he has a better arm. You know what I mean? He might have speed-wise, he may be about the same, but stronger, better arm. He's a better decision-maker than Jalen Hurts at times. And, you know, they pretty much, after yesterday, gave him the Heisman Trophy, which he probably should, because I don't see nobody else that really stood out over the whole college season. So, you know, I kind of see why he ended up winning it, especially he beat the number one defense in the country the way they did. I mean, it was kind of crazy because when Georgia went up 10-0, I thought, okay, well, maybe this is the year. You know, I ain't never seen Alabama give up a 99-yard scoring drive. And then next thing I know, Alabama woke up and then took off and went on a 17-0 scoring drive. And I said, okay, well, even when Georgia tied it up, I'm still thinking like they can't stop them though. Just the thing about it was Georgia tied the game up, but they couldn't. What's up, Juliet? What's up, Vernon? They could not stop. You know what I'm saying? Alabama at all. They couldn't. You know what I mean? The only thing they could really stop on the Alabama side was the running game. But the other guys were doing whatever they wanted. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second here. 1 second. Hello. Okay. Yeah, did your boy get the information? Because I want for them to come on. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. All right. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. Just got word from my co-host that he couldn't make it on today. Um, he's feeling under the weather, so we're gonna still keep this train moving or whatever, like we always do, or whatever. But yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, Georgia, basically they couldn't do nothing with Alabama whatsoever. And then, like I said, the offensive wise, and they limited offensively because anytime you have a system where you rely mainly on tight ends and not wide receivers, you definitely gonna limit it. Because as good as tight ends are gotten better over the years, most tight ends aren't good enough to like really dominate a game. That's why when you see a team like a Stanford or certain teams who rely on those things, they can't really dominate a game like that. You know what I mean? They can make a few plays to keep you in it, but they can't dominate a game. And so I think that's the biggest issue when it comes to um, when it comes to that or whatever. But kudos to Alabama. They're back in their spot. You know what I mean? Back at number one, more than likely today. I think that while I was looking at it a few minutes ago, they said Alabama be number one. Um, I think uh, Michigan will be number two, Georgia three, and Cincinnati four. And I'm happy for Cincinnati because I think they deserved it. I talked about this earlier this season. This is my first guess. Hi, how you doing, sir? I can't hear you. Turn your volume up. No, I can't hear you. Okay. Okay. We'll get him on here in a second. See if we can get him going. But yeah, and then the other game, man, like Michigan, they really impressed me in the way they played against Iowa because sometimes you can have a letdown game. Michigan finally beat Ohio State for like the first time in about 8-9 years, so they could have came in this game feeling like kind of like you falling on their morals or laurels of thinking, okay, we beat our arch nemesis, we beat our demons, we beat our whatever you want to call it. Michigan, Ohio State, like Georgia could overcome their demons of beating Alabama, and at the same time, it was kind of like chicken baby. It's like at the end of the day, uh, Michigan finally beat their what was L and M when you know uh, that was Ohio State, and they beat them in impressive fashion. You could just tell by watching that game last week. Like Michigan pulled out all the stops, all the trick plays, every time, everything that was in the playbook. They used it, and I give them credit for that. You know what I'm saying? So Jim Harbaugh finally overcame that, whatever. But I think Michigan yesterday they proved like yesterday that was a grind game. You play against a team like Iowa. Iowa not gonna make it easy for you, and they beat Iowa pretty impressively in that second half yesterday. So I think they definitely deserve to be in the Final Four. As far as Cincinnati goes, Cincinnati been dominating all year long. They have a lot of speed. They have a great quarterback. Um, can they beat Alabama? Probably not. But I will say this: what's his name? Robert Meacham, the wide receiver for Georgia, for Alabama, did tear, I think, towards ACL yesterday, I think. So he's out for the playoffs. So that may kind of they may kind of like even up the score a little bit because I don't think dang sure I don't think Cincinnati would have had a chance to stop Williams and Meacham on the outside. But I think now they may have a puncher's chance to a certain degree or whatever. Because it was kind of funny. They were saying during the game, the Cincinnati game, they said that they were saying that Cincinnati was the type of team they were kind of built for teams like Alabama or Georgia or whatever because of the fact, or Michigan, because they play better when it's harder competition. They actually struggle when they play against teams that use like trickery to try to beat them. And Houston was using a lot of trick plays and or using trying to gadget plays and trying to do different stuff and being cute because they knew they really wasn't talented enough to beat Cincinnati. That's why early on Cincinnati was struggling on the defensive end trying to stop Houston because Houston was throwing all kind of wrenches in the kitchen sink in there trying to slow them, trying to score, get the ball down the field and whatever. And then once Cincinnati kind of got their footing and kind of realized what was going on, they got right. So okay, let me see if this is him right here. Back on. Hello.
All right.
What's
Hello.
going on, man? Yeah, how you doing?
Hi. I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So everybody, this is
That's
Jeremy
good.
Jackson, uh, uh, JUCO coach and semi-pro football coach. And that's correct, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So you were now.
Right now I'm currently the head coach of the Carolina Mountain Lions Junior College program that's
Okay.
located up in the upstate area and also the Asheville area.
Okay. Okay. Cool. 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 Because I actually got a uh some way you can say nephew almost like he plays JUCO football. I think he plays down in the I think he plays down in maybe the Fayetteville or Sanford area. I think one of the teams down in that area. So
Okay.
I know they
Okay.
just made a champ. I think they I just didn't think they made a championship game too because their championship game is in I think in Baltimore or somewhere. I think it is. I think coming up.
Yeah, there are a few different junior college conferences. The the conference that we're actually in is the NIAA. It's probably one of the biggest junior college conferences in the country. Um,
Yeah.
you have teams ranging all the way from California all the way down to Florida.
Yeah, well, this was. I think this is a semi pro football team. So this is a semi pro
Okay.
football team that just made
Okay.
that championship. But yeah, I get it. So basically, sir, how did you? So what's your background? So did you play football in high school and middle school and things like that?
Yes, sir. Well, I started when I was really little. My stepfather coached me when I was in elementary, and I moved up to Fairfield Middle School where I played my middle school game. I transferred to Ridgeview High School in Columbia, South Carolina, is where I played my high school ball at for Raymond Jennings. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's at Lugoff West Florence now, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and from there, tore my ACL in my senior year, and I always knew that I wanted to coach. So I knew that was going to be a career path for me. But it took a little longer to start the process, and we're still working on the process.
Okay.
So right now, yeah, I always knew I wanted to coach. Didn't know it was going to happen this fast, but I'm
Yeah.
thankful for the opportunity that I have right now.
Okay. 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 So what position did you play in when you played football?
Believe it or not, as slender as I am right now, I played center
Really?
in high school. Yes, sir. I was 6'2", pushing 345, maybe
Oh, okay.
350.
Okay. So you lost a lot of weight then.
Yeah, yeah, lost a lot of weight. When after I tore my ACL, that's why a a lot of my players now, I coach to them the mental game of football. The mental aspect of the game is way bigger than the physical, and that part that I felt like then I didn't have, and maybe if I had more coaches to stress that to me, maybe I probably would have been further. So now I stress that to my guys every day. 100% mental, just 1% physical. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Okay. When you got into which one did you get in first? Did you get into semi-pro football? Did you get in JUCO? Which one did you get into first? And you coach both of them at the same time? Like
well,
you
actually,
coach.
yeah. So actually, it started. I coached youth football. Um, I coached for a really historical youth program. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, how are
Yeah,
you?
this is my co-host Crystal, aka C Murder. So
How you
whatever.
doing, Miss Murder?
Yeah, I'll continue, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. Yeah, I actually started with coaching a youth program in Spartanburg. Um, really historical program, Spartanburg Gators. I've been around for over 20 years, and that's where I kind of got my roots started in coaching. Um, and then it just moved on from there. After about 4 years, 5 years of youth, I moved on to semi pros, and I started coaching semi pros, and got fond of the system of semi pros and making it into the playoffs, making it to a championship game, and
So hold on.
just uh,
How did just to kind of walk people through to get an understanding? How do you
mhm.
go from youth football to like semi? Do you get what did somebody see you and say we like what you doing? Is it something that like how does that process work? You know what I'm saying to go from that to that.
So and especially I tell a lot of people, if you know anything about the upstate, they are very passionate about their football, and it's really hard to. I wasn't from Spartanburg. I moved there um, uh, in my adult age with my kids, and got into youth football. And as I got into the community of football in the area, my name would start to grow a little bit. And a lot of people would ask me, I coached the offensive side of the ball. So they kind of like my style. And, they asked me to come out and help them. And I said, why not? I'm always looking for a challenge. And it was a challenge for me. But I overlooked some of the challenges, got through a lot of the challenges, and we pushed forward. And just people knowing me basically in the community that actually coach. Well, they coached at youth, but played semis, and thought that I might have been a good fit for them to help them on their offensive side. So to take an offense that went from averaging only maybe 2 touchdowns a game to averaging 35 points a game. So yeah, we really turned that program around. Went from 2-8 to 8-2. My first year as a coordinator there for the Upstate Gamecocks. They're now called the Carolina Hornets.
Okay. So how to turn a program around that quick or whatever, what elements or what ingredients do you have to have? What are you looking for? So, because did you have to go out and basically like rebuild the team, or did you just inspire the players that were there? So, and bring in a new system. What did you feel like you did, or y'all did as coaching staff differently to turn the team around?
Well, the one thing that they actually really wanted me to come in and do is recruit. I hang my hat on being a recruiter, being able to bring in young men, young student athletes, or athletes that understand or have the same mindset as I do and the coaching staff. If you're not on one page, it's not going to work. And they have to buy in. You can give them a lot of goods, but they don't mean they're gonna take. So if they see that you're passionate about it and you love your system, they started to see that, okay, we can do this. And me recruiting some guys, bringing them into the program, bringing some more younger talent in, mixing with the veterans that we had. It was a good gel, and it took a whole off season, to get that offense up and running and the team up and running the way we wanted to. And it wasn't easy. A lot of the veterans have to get used to the rookies that are trying to make a name for themselves. I can never forget that first season. One of my players I recruited, um, Justin Wright. He came out and he's a slot receiver, and he's really fast. We call him Speedy, and gosh, Justin probably runs like a 4.4, 4.5, and when we got him out there on the field, he's cocky. He's very confident, and with veterans, they're not too fond of a young man, being bragful and boasting about how good they are. But he backed it up on the field, and that's one thing he earned their credit, their respect with. They have to earn each other respect and start to know that this is not a team, but I always preach family. Family is first. So if your family is first, you're gonna put your team with your family, and that's how we look at we're family.
Okay, so on the flip side of that, because when you are doing like semi-pro football or whatever, some of these players probably feel rejected because they didn't make it to the NFL. So how was it those players that came in that probably lacked the confidence that they could play at that level because they missed out on the ultimate opportunity? So what was it dealing with those type of players that might have lacked in confidence a little bit?
Well, for me, I think the reason why it fit me so well to coach semi pros is because simply because I'm an underdog person. I love going for the underdog, pushing for the underdog and rooting for them. Cincinnati, I'm rooting for them. That's an underdog to me.
Yeah.
So I I love that they have that chip on their shoulder that you overlook me. And with that, a lot of people start to get overlooked. They overlook the measurements. They overlook how short you are. Overlook how big you are. When you put that chip on your shoulder, it just adds another niche in your belt to say, I can do just as good as that person that you picked over me. And you take that and run with it. And you make it a statement in your game saying that you're going to be different. You have to stand out. You have to figure out what's going to be your niche, and you have to run with it. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's why a lot of those guys that come in and ready to, you know, make a name for themselves because someone's overlooked them. And a lot of that's happening in college football and JUCO, in NFL pros. It's one of the biggest things that's going on today.
Okay. Have y'all had any players transition to the NFL or whatever, or go from JUCO to a major college program?
Well, I've had a few guys not go to the NFL, but actually went and played overseas. I had a guy play in Mexico. One guy play in Puerto Rico. So those are great opportunities are starting to come up for a lot of guys that might not been able to make it to Canada or NFL. You can go play for a Europa League, a European team. They're all popping up now and they're paying. So, it's not about where you are, it's what you're getting where you're at. So if they're giving you the opportunity and you're making six figures and they're giving you a stipend and giving you a place to stay, those are opportunities, you don't pass up. And a lot of those guys seeing the opportunity that they have in front of them, took advantage of it. So if you put the work in and you producing great film, they will see you. They will give you opportunity.
Okay. So, Crystal, you got any questions?
I don't, because I missed the beginning and I don't want to. You might have to repeat something. So no.
Okay. So so you say y'all about to be in the championship game now, right? Y'all in the championship or
Well,
the
actually, my semi-pro season is over. The semi-pro season was over. That was our previous year that I was with them. Right now, we are actually my staff. We're actually focused on junior college right now. Our
okay.
junior college season is starting in March the 6th. So we hit the field in January the 10th. So we start practice January 10th. And right now we're recruiting and getting our roster together.
Okay, so yeah, okay, that okay, that's different because I never knew that junior college started like at a different season time of the year than regular college football. So why is that?
Well,
Why?
well, usually we have a fall, and we will have a fall, but due to the pandemic, um, we had to basically give a spring. So similar to what the NCAA did, the Power Five this past season, where they had only a conference. They only played a conference, and that was it. We're doing the same similar deal with the NIAA this spring, and then we'll work our way into the fall.
Okay. So because it's kind of I'm kind of glad I brought you on here this morning because basically I don't know how much Jacob was telling you about what we do, but this show is basically predicated
Mm-hmm.
on underdogs, and so your programs
Okay.
are underdog programs. You know what I'm saying? As far as JUCO schools, semi-pro schools, semi-pro football. Those are all the epitome of what you would call underdogs, or whatever. And
Correct.
so the thing about I think is if we ever can be basically somebody y'all can promote through. Y'all want to send other players for interviews. Eventually, we're trying to get this thing where we can be mobile and be at these games, or whatever to put a spotlight on it. Anything we can kind of do to kind of help and kind of put a spotlight on these players and the coaches because the thing about it is somebody like yourself. I mean, I don't know what your goals and stuff are, so that's one of the things. What's your? I mean, I know you might not want to say too much, but as far as like if you wanted to be on another level, if your goal, if you're, because you might not want to know if you want to piss off your players or whatever, but it is your goal to eventually maybe make it to the NFL as a coach or on a staff or college football on a major level on the staff or whatever.
Well, as a coach, like I tell my players, you have to do what's best for you, and when you coach, you start knowing what type of coach you are, what you'll do, and how far you go. And I know how passionate I am about college athletes, helping and making sure they get to the next level. And pros really don't fit me too well. But college is right at that sweet spot. I can be able to help a lot of communities, a lot of individuals that might not be seen, and being able to give them a platform in order to show their talents. And that's where I get, nothing about money. That makes my day. Now, don't get me wrong. I definitely, want to be able to get the big bucks like the big coaches. But the biggest I would love to go is to be an HBCU head coach. Eventually, and turn around a program.
Yeah.
I pride myself on building, and I would love to build one of these programs that a lot of people overlook.
Well, and it's kind of funny you said that because just yesterday we seen, I mean that's the ultimate coach, but we seen Prime, you know what I'm saying, win a
Right.
championship in his second year as Jackson State, and that's huge for him to turn that program around that quick. And they went 10-1 and then won a championship. And then the fact, especially due to the fact that I think he wasn't even there to coach it, so that lets you know he instilled in his coaching staff the confidence in his players for them to win that championship. And he couldn't be in attendance because of the I think the foot surgery or something that he had. or whatever. So,
And
and
I tell people, there are two different type of coaches. You have a family oriented coach that cares about his team and cares about, his legacy and what he leaves behind. And then you have these other coaches that are corporate
mm-hmm,
coaches. It's
yeah,
all about business, Um, if you ain't producing for me, next man up. A lot of coaches like that, they don't take the time to figure out, why this running back isn't doing as well as he used to. Or why is he isn't getting me these 4 yards, 5 yards to carry this year? What's going on? They won't take the time and say, hey, let's talk. Let's figure out what's going on. They just, next man up. And we see it, especially in college football today with the NIL, big time coaches leaving guys that they've said they're going to stick around for 4 years and 5 years. I'm going to be here. We've seen it, Lincoln Riley's, the Kellys, it's happening now. So I take a lot of pride in wanting to, when I tell a guy, I'm here for you, and all my guys know if that time ever was to come, they will be the first to know that coach are leaving or moving to a better, situation. So I take a lot of pride in telling young men the truth.
it's funny you say that. It's because I think I don't know. We talked about this other night, Crystal. Or not, I can't remember. I know I said it to somebody or something in some kind of format, but
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that I think I might have been telling Jacob this. I said I don't think that college coaches should be able to. I don't think that other teams should be able to recruit or to pull you away from your program in the middle of the season or before the season officially over with. This Lincoln Riley, we think we were talking about this other night. Lincoln Riley and this Brian Kelly situation to me is a hot mess because up until last night, Brian Kelly and Notre Dame had a legitimate chance to get into the Final Four. And when you have players who these young men, to put it like this, especially us as black young men, we have a hard time trusting anyway. And then when a not to be funny, well, not making this a white and black thing, but when a white man comes into and you sit down on your couch with your mother, your grandmother, your father, your uncle, and tell you, "Oh, I got your son. Have him come to my program," and then before I even make it to the program, you leave. You know what I'm saying? Or once I get there and I get acclimated and I may start to build up a trust for you as being my coach. Most of these coaches, as you know, sometimes are like father figures or big brothers or uncles or whatever. So at the end of the day, when you just leave the way these coaches are leaving, it leaves a bad taste in these players' mouths. And then it'd almost be like if a player could say, like in college football, like they do in the NFL or NBA, "Oh, trade me in midseason." Then it would be chaos. So I think at the end of the day, they need to come up with a better system of just like they do in any major sport. If you want to talk to this coach, you got to wait to the end of the year, and then you got to get permission. You can't just come in and in like a thief in the night and steal a coach from a program. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, how I feel about it is it's not going to get no better now. It was a chance of it getting better, but the NIL deal going on with college football, it's really going to be hard to change that. It's going to take personalities and knowing what a program is looking for. And I'll say this: I was looking at Brian Kelly team interview with LSU. It was his first interview, his first time meeting with the team, and he said something. If I was at Notre Dame and I was on that staff, I would really want to see you in the playoffs next year. Because he said something to the LSU team that really threw me back, and he said, I chose, I don't want to misquote him, but it was something close to this. And he said, I chose to come to LSU because I wanted to coach the best and to be at one of the best programs in the nation.
Yeah.
You were at one of the most historical programs in the nation,
Right.
independently, and with programs in the
exactly.
nation. You just had a lot more red tape than most because they have a higher standard of getting guys in school. LSU doesn't have that high standard, so now he can go get everybody that he had on his board at Notre Dame and don't have to give them that 3.0 or 3.2 GPA to get in. So, instead of being honest and saying, "Hey guys, these standards is just too high for me, but I still want to be at one of the best programs. I just can't do it here." I would rather a coach tell me that and be like, "I'm out." You know, when you come to a parents, when you like you were saying, you was touching on when you come to a parent's home, and you know how, like all the D1 coaches, and they throw you these offers or they throw you these interest letters. You have a mailbox full of them. Now, for a young man to pick you as one of the guys that he does an in-home house visit to, that's big. So for you to take that opportunity and not become a coach but a jinky car salesman, that does something to me. That it puts a light on coaches like Luke Fickell at Cincinnati. How he cares about his players. You know how many people are coming after this guy at Cincinnati to be the head coach at their programs, throwing millions of dollars at him to leave Cincinnati. But he's true to his team. He's passionate about what he has going on, and he doesn't care about the outside noise. He's just worried about winning that Final Four or getting into the Final Four and winning that national championship. And that's what you should be focused on, especially after you then talk to these parents and gave them their, your word to say that you're going to watch their son. You're going to love them just as much as you love them, And that says a lot about a man's character to just bounce like that on kids. I just don't like it.
Yeah. So, because my thing is this is that I was just telling Crystal this other night was that Brian Kelly, his background is, I think he's from like the Boston area. He's from up that way near the, up in that area near the Indiana area and in that kind of like world. And for him to go from, and they were talking about this the other day on one of the sports shows, for him to go from that down to the South, and the personality clashes is very different. You know what I mean? Because we already know a down South country mama, grandma in the South, especially in Baton Rouge and down there in Texas, and you know how that is. And you dealing with this northerner who coming down, like you said, maybe talking to you like a car salesman. That ain't gonna bowl too well. You know what I'm saying? Because she's gonna be like, you don't understand our culture. You don't understand how we think down here. And I don't know recruiting wise if that's gonna really help him. And I don't think. I mean, you as a recruiter. Let me ask you this: you as a recruiter, that you come from that world, also. And what I'm saying, does it make sense or does it resonate with you in what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does. It does. And the coaches that can hop from one area to the area, because usually how they break down your recruiting and how you are chose a certain area to recruit, not unless you're the head coach, it's based upon where you come from, or your roots, or your roots, as we say. If you're born and raised, like for an example, Shane Beamer, the head coach at USC right now, he was in Oklahoma just a year ago, right? And was out there for about 4 or 5 years, I'm not mistaken. He didn't recruit Oklahoma. He recruited the DC area, the Eastern Coast, where he was from. Charleston, South Carolina is where he's from. He has a lot of roots in Virginia. So it made sense for him to recruit that area because of the people and the connections that he has in the area. Now, for him to go recruit, California wouldn't make sense, And for a coach that leave an area like Notre Dame, and to come down to LSU, your recruiting method is going to change altogether. If you're Notre Dame, you go into a house and you're coming to speak to a mom, you're going to pride yourself on the prestige of the school. What comes out of there. The degree itself will get you any job you basically want, putting football to the side. So those are the things that can come to a lot of young men, snatch a lot of guys that have high GPAs that are going to Stanford and to Vanderbilt, and the Cal Polys, the ones that are going to those schools. They can snatch the great athletes out of those because they can recruit those guys to come there because they need to, they have to in order to compete. And like I say now, with him at LSU, he has to change his whole way of going into a house. He can take the LSU brand and say we're about winning now, and everybody wants to be behind a winner. That's one thing about coaches. They want to come be for a winner, and it's really hard to turn a program around that's not winning. Different than like a LSU. So that's why he can come in there, get paid $100 million for 8 years, I think.
Yeah,
and hit the road recruiting with a jet and say, "Hey, we're LSU. We're LSU." That's all you got to say now. We LSU. The brand alone is still to stand on. So it's a lot different. And being a recruiter, you can't just go in somebody's house and just shoot them a bunch of bull crap. You got to be honest with them. And tell them what's the real deal. That's what makes Nick Saban. Regardless of all the championships, the man ain't changed. He's still him. Still really honest. How often do we see somebody leave Alabama and go to the transfer portal?
Very seldom.
Not too often. Very seldom, because they trust him. It's not the school, they trust Saban. So once you get that built like that, which is very rare, man, it takes a lot of work to build a program like that.
And I agree too, because it's kind of funny because I'm intrigued now to see like when Nick Saban leaves Alabama, and not to be funny, but Tuscaloosa ain't one of them places that you really want to live in. Man, especially no 4 years.
Right.
So I always wondered, like, will he leave? How much they gonna suffer? Because like you said, it's not really so much about Alabama, the brand, as much as it is about Nick Saban, the coach. You know what I mean? Just like Duke, and how is it going to transition from Coach K finally leaving, and how people gonna really want to really go to Duke. And Duke has high academic standards like a Notre Dame does. Maybe not as high, but they're in the ballpark. So you know what I'm saying? So right. How is that going to transition when it comes to that kind of thing too? So it remains to be seen, man. But like I said, man, I appreciate you coming on. I give everybody like your social medias and stuff like that. As far as like how they can follow you, how they can follow the team going into the winter season, how we can follow the team. Because Crystal, my co-host here, she quiet, but she's our statistician. Since she follows, like, she, I'm saying, you sure you don't have no questions? Because I know normally she had one of them questions that, them ball come out the ballpark out of the woodwork questions. So you sure don't got no questions? Because I know
I'll take any question you have.
You got some kind of stat question. I know you do.
No, I don't.
Man. Yeah. So how can we follow you and follow the team moving forward?
Well, you can follow us on Twitter on NIAA at NIAA. You can follow me on Twitter, Coach J. I think it's Coach J of the Mountain Lions now. Oh, the Lions, Coach J of the Mountain Lions. And I'm on Facebook, Jeremy V. Jackson. Can't miss it's got our big emblem up there. It says Carolina Mountain Lions. And you can follow. He's the commissioner of the NIAA. And it's at Coach Richardson on Twitter. So yeah, our season starts March 6th. We would love to have y'all guys come out. Maybe broadcast it, maybe
Yeah.
And we would love to have somebody play-by-play. Maybe you never know. We love to build relationships and partnerships. NIAA is all about building relationships, and Coach Richardson has done a marvelous job building this program, and we're still building. And so we would love to have y'all guys, be a part of that. And like you said, underdog.
Yeah, because we underdogs too, so we all underdogs together. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Gotta work together.
So before you get out of here, you said you had sons, right? So do they play football?
Well, I have a son. I have a
Oh,
son.
okay.
He's 4. He'll be
Oh, okay.
5
So
next year, but he's actually going to be playing 6U. So he's pretty big. He's a pretty big boy. He's 4. He looks 6. So his mom is 6'2". So yeah.
Oh wow.
He's gonna be pretty big.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on, brother. We're gonna keep in touch or whatever. And then, like I said, come that March season, man, we looking forward to maybe coming out to some games, man, and continue to grow and help y'all grow this thing and you know what I'm saying, and promote y'all the best way we can.
Appreciate you having me on. And anytime you want me back on, talk some football, talk some coaching, I'm definitely all in.
Well, before you get out of here, who you got? Okay, because it kind of is already set. So as far as the Final Four is concerned, because I really the way they're saying it's supposed to be Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Georgia. So who you got pulling it out in the end?
Oh man, if the lineup stays the way it is right now, I'm saying I've said it on the show right now. I already called the upset. I told everybody that if Alabama took a L before the SEC championship, that'll be the worst thing happen for Georgia, and it proved right. And I'll say this: Alabama is very suspect, and that's even being Alabama. So I'm gonna call it right now: Cincinnati for the upset. They beat Alabama by 3. And they move on to the second round. They play Michigan.
Well, I mean, Meacham is out with the ACL, so that kind of evens the playing field a little bit. The second receiver is out, so that might give them a puncher's chance. So we'll see. But like I said, I appreciate you coming on, brother, and we will stay in contact.
And I tell. I was just gonna say, I tell people, Coach Fickle over there at Cincinnati, he's the guy. That offense is amazing. I've been to one of his coaching clinics, and the guy's amazing. So that's how I said, watch out for their offense.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely gonna watch out. I actually hope they do. I am the underdog fan, so and Crystal would tell you I've been fighting for Cincinnati all season. So I was like early in the game, yes, I said please don't mess this up because I've been fighting for y'all all season.
It was a little shaky at the beginning.
Yeah, but it was funny because it was funny because I think midway, like around about the end of the second quarter, maybe beginning of the third. I remember the broadcasters was saying that how Houston was using a lot of like trick and like pony and circus tricks and doing like little different things trying to throw Cincinnati off, and Cincinnati kind of had to get their bearings back and figure out what was going on because they was actually saying, and this was funny that you say that, because they was actually saying that Cincinnati is more built for the play of Michigan or Georgia, Alabama, because those teams gonna play you straight up. They was like when they struggle is because teams like a Houston try to do all this trickery stuff to try to throw them off, and it takes them a little time to figure it out. Whereas Alabama, Alabama is gonna do what they do, Georgia gonna do what they do. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. That's correct. Alabama's gonna line up and man. They're gonna man you up, and mano a mano because they have the talent to do it. And like you say, Cincinnati, and yesterday in that game against Houston, they had this young guy. Houston has this young guy named Tank. They call him nickname Tank. And they basically was just putting him all over the field. They had formations out there I have never seen. I watch Houston, and I've never seen half of those formations that they put out there. It seemed like they changed their whole offense based upon that game, and that might have hurt them a little bit. Do what you do. That's do what got you there, and it proved Alabama did it. Georgia didn't do what got them there, to be honest, and that's why they lost that game. So I really see Cincinnati playing against Michigan, and a lot of people look past their defense, and they're a bend don't break defense. And hey, if it's working, roll with it.
Yeah. Because I do feel like Stidham is limited. Like Stidham as a Georgia quarterback is limited, and it's funny because me and Jacob had this argument because he a Cowboy fan, and I'm a Washington Redskin fan. So I tell him, he always like, why Charlie Heineke? Yeah, what's up with him? Why he can't play like Dak Prescott or these top nine? I said, first of all, he getting paid $10 million. Dak Prescott getting paid $75 million, so he don't have to play that way. He just got to hold the fort down. But I did compare Stidham to Heineke, because both of them are smaller quarterbacks. They're limited. They can make plays with their legs and make some of these, all wild plays at times, but they're limited. And then you seen it yesterday when he was going against a real team, because Alabama's the closest thing to an NFL roster most of the time. So when you go against a team like that, they're gonna show you who you really are. And they showed Stidham that he was limited in what he can do. That's why I said even if they played again in the championship game, I still don't think Georgia could beat Alabama. You know what I'm saying? I just don't, especially when the defense could not do anything with Alabama's wide receivers at all. You know what I'm saying? They could not stop them a little bit.
They couldn't do anything.
So
You don't got all that.
And it was so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have all day to throw, and that's one thing he learned really fast in that game. And I told everybody, if you stop Georgia's running game, that's kind of it. If you can hold them to 100 yards, 150 yards in a game, you probably will beat Georgia. And they're just one of those teams, if I'm not mistaken, I love stats too. If I think Georgia has ran for over every game, they've ran for over 230 yards. They're like 30-0 or something. So they have, these coaches look at those things and they make sure, certain things are done in practice to make sure those stats stay consistent. And you slow down their running game, you got Georgia in the bag. Don't get me wrong. I love their quarterback, Georgia's quarterback, because he's one of us. He's an underdog. He was a walk-on quarterback, came out there and beat out 5 stars. So, give him credit where credit's due, but he just couldn't do it against that NFL defense.
I was kind of wondering, like I was like when George Pickens made the play early in the game, I'm like, why he's not out? Is he still like hurting, or I mean, they just throw him out there kind of on a political thing, like just to show like that he's good enough for y'all to still recruit him. I mean, to draft him later on. I'm like, I didn't get the whole point of putting him out there for like one play, and that was it.
I didn't understand it either. I don't know if they was doing it for decor purposes, but it really didn't make no sense to keep him out there. It really didn't. But he's a hell of a athlete, really is.
Yeah, because they could have used him. Because the thing about with Georgia, and their top receiver is a tight end, and anytime in college football, when your top receiver is a tight end, you always gonna be limited. You know what I mean? Like I don't care how good the tight end is. If you don't have a wide receiver that can take the top off, you know what I'm saying? At some point throughout the game, it's gonna hurt you. You know what I mean? Because all they gonna do is
and that's what I was.
Go ahead.
And that's what I was gonna say. You can, like you say, if you got 2 tight ends that's 6'6", athletic, but if you don't got that outside receiver, like you said, take the top off. It's going to be really hard for you to be able to work your tight end down the seams. You got to open up your offense and give him space because he's a big guy. You got to give him space. Not unless he's a jump ball type guy. He can go and get it, give you 50-50 chance on the balls. And it's kind of hard to find those type tight ends nowadays. Not unless they're you have your types like that can play wide receiver and tight end, those flex type players.
Like Pitts.
Yeah,
right, correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but anyway, like I said, brother, I appreciate you coming on. We're gonna have you back on here. Probably, you know what I like to do, because especially when your season comes back around, we definitely have you come back on here. Maybe even have you bring one of your players with you. You know what I'm saying, or whatever on here, and it kind of rev up for that season. So, when we do bring you back, right before the season starts, because we can definitely bring you back on one of your players, and spotlight y'all together right before maybe that first game or whatever. You know what I mean? And we'll do it that way.
And I'm going to go ahead and give you his name.
Okay. So you already got one in mind
now, because
I'm going
to go ahead and shout him out right now, because he's one of my hardest working players. And if I really told you kind of like his background and this team background that I just became the head coach of this JUCO, if I told you, all of it, we can talk about it later. But he's a hard-working running back. He's 5'9", 5'10", blazing speed, and will bowl you over. He's just one of those workhorses that a lot of people overlook because of his size. And I'm telling you, when you see him on the film and you hear his attitude, his mentality, you're gonna say, why nobody's picked this kid up? So Malik Williams is one of my best athletes.
So as most of these players, like, I know you talk about how athletic they are and how good they are. So a lot of these players, is it because of academics? Is this why they limited in their chances, because of the academic part, or something happened like off the field? Is that more the reasons why some of these players are not on these major situations?
Man, if I told you this is take a whole nother show.
Well, we definitely have to bring you back for a second with it, huh?
But the short version is, a lot of the times these guys come from programs, and especially in the upstate, they come from big programs. Your Spartanburgs, your Gaffneys, your Dormans. So you're talking about Burns. You're talking about 70, 75, 80 people on a roster. So if a guy in front of you, if you're running back, y'all might have just about the same speed. But if you're 5'9", 5'8", and he's 6'1", 6 foot, yeah, you kind of get overlooked. And so they deal with that for 4 years, sometimes. And they play mop-up duty. So if you're not getting the film and you're not on the field, you're not going to get the looks that you need. And a lot of the young men fall into those categories where they have somebody in front of them that may be just a little taller, a little faster, and they don't get as much time that they need on film to be able to get recruited. So it's, right now, JUCOs is what you really want right now, because the transfer portal has really made it even worse for seniors, because now these coaches don't want a fresh out of guy high school. They want a guy that has some college experience, and the portal is sitting right there. So who would you take? The young guy that you gotta mold, or the guy that you just needs a new start?
But it's kind of funny you say that, because a lot of coaches frown and they don't like the transfer portal, because it's almost like a trade system, where not necessarily a trade, but where a player can up and leave and go somewhere else. Like, take for instance, if I'm at Alabama or Georgia, and let's say most of these schools, they recruit three 5-star quarterbacks at one time. They might have 3 freshmen coming in, all of them 5-star. So once you get beat out, you forget this. I'm not about to sit around here with these other 3 freshmen for the next 3-4 years. I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you're seeing more of, that of players just saying, well, I'm not about to sit around and try to, because whatever reason, these players nowadays, some of them don't want to compete for the spot. They wanted the spot to be given to them. And when it's not, they I just go somewhere else or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and get another chance, or whatever, or another chance somewhere else. Well, what quarterback is it is it now? They played like 3 different schools before he even made it to the NFL. It wasn't Baker Mayfield. I forgot. I can't remember. But it was a quarterback not too long ago who one of these major quarterbacks who, and matter of fact, in the NFL now, who played at 3 different major schools before, 3 different schools before he, finally. I think it might have been Burrow or somebody who, was like that. So I was just like, that's another
Burrow and
problem.
Trubisky.
Yeah.
Burrow and Trubisky both were transfer portal guys. And the thing about it is, it's became the wild, wild west with the portal. And like we say, it goes back to recruiting. It really does. And a lot of these guys, when they fall in love with these places, it's because the coaching came in there and gave them the rainbows and unicorn, show, tell them all the great things about it. Instead of being honest and telling them, hey, we got 2 other guys we're recruiting as well. You're going to have to come in and compete.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are telling them, well, we don't know. Should we, take that chance on a guy? They don't want to do that. They would rather say, hey, come on in, and we'll straighten it out from there, instead of being like, no, we're gonna go for who we want, and we're gonna tell the truth. It all comes down to what you told them in the house, and that's why that transfer portal will be flying off the handles for the next 2 weeks, next 3 months, actually.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, I appreciate you coming on, brother, and we'll stay in touch with you and get back with you very soon.
All right, appreciate y'all.
All right, thank you. What's going on? What's on, Rodney? How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm good. First of all, I want to apologize. About the school, about the misprint of the school name.
Oh, you good?
Yeah, so I want to do apologize for that. It's been a busy week for me, so me and my co-host been he's not here today. He's under the weather, but he's the one that does the flyers and stuff, and I gave him the information. Misguided him on the information, but at the end of the day, I'm glad you came on. It's kind of funny because of course I graduated with your mother, class of '94. So I been watching you from afar. I watch all my classmates' kids from afar. So I've been probably watching your rise and come up over the last couple of years, in football. So let's start from the beginning. How did you? What age did you get into football?
I think I really wanted to play when I was like 8, but I didn't really think I was big enough yet. So I got into wrestling. I think I did wrestling for 2 years. So I started playing football when I was in 4th grade, into 4th grade. And I guess I was about 10, 11 years old. I started playing for the Sand Hills Patriots, the local team around here. And I just fell in love with the sport. Then I was always a football fan, but I guess when I started really playing and really probably the second year is when I fell in love with it. Because my first year I was okay, but I didn't really understand the sport. But when I came out that second year, that's really when I fell in love with it.
Okay. So what was your first position that you played when you started playing football?
First position was for the Patriots. I was too heavy to carry the ball, so I had to play O-line. So I played, I want to say it was right guard and nose guard.
Okay. So you always, since a child, you always been kind of like a bigger kid.
Yeah. I was always a bigger kid. Never small, really.
Okay. So, were you dominating at that age, like in the Patriot League? Was it, or did it take some time?
It took about a year. So my first year, I wasn't really dominating. I was good enough to play, but I don't even think it was more just good enough. I think I was just big enough that other kids couldn't move me. But my second year is really when I took my strides. So I played for the Patriots for 4 years. 2 years of JV and 2 years of varsity, and I took major strides every year.
Okay. So you said the Sand Hill Patriots. So that's what. So because you play for Pinecrest, right?
Yeah.
But
So
they call them Sand Hills now.
No, the Sand Hills Patriots is the Pee Wee team around here.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, you threw me out. Okay, all right. I was like, what? Okay, so you played in two. So when you was between 10 and 14 or whatever, that was the Sand Hills Patriots.
Yeah.
And then from 14 on up, it was
14 to 17. I was at Pinecrest. Yeah.
Okay, got you. So what was the success level when you was with the Sand Hill Patriots? What was the success level as far as the winning?
As far as winning, I know I never lost a varsity game. So 2 years of varsity, we never lost a game. We won the championship back to back. We won my first year of JV. I want to say we won the Super Bowl. That's what it was called. It was called the Super Bowl, but it was just championship. And then my second year, we lost. So I think I only lost 2 games, maybe 1 game the whole time I played for the Patriots. I know the Patriots, I think they got started up in 2009. And the varsity team didn't lose a game until 2015.
Oh, wow. And what how far did the schedule as far as who y'all were playing? How far out the teams have to come and y'all have to go to play teams?
It was weird because we always did our tournaments in Charlotte, but it was other teams from other areas too. So like it was a team called the Fayetteville Buccaneers. And then we played some team from New Bern. And then Charlotte had like 3 teams. It was the Charlotte Vikings, and I forgot the other teams from Charlotte. I think they had the Steelers too. So we played some pretty good teams, and we always did a tournament in Tennessee in Knoxville every year in August, right before the season.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you got to Pinecrest, did you immediately play in varsity or did you start freshman JV? How did that go when you first got to Pinecrest?
When I got there, my coach told me I probably could have played varsity my freshman year, but I wouldn't have played the important games. I just didn't understand football to that level yet, where I could have played in like the big games. I probably could have played in some of the games where we was blowing people out, but I played freshman football my first year. And then sophomore year, I came in and I started sophomore year all the way. I think I earned the spot week 5. I ended up getting the starting spot over a junior my sophomore year, and then I started ever since at nose guard.
Okay, I got to ask you a question before we move on because I know one of my good friends and person I grew up with, Ron Shaw Cole, Coach Cole, was he was coaching at the time, right? What, the freshman when you was there?
Yeah.
So what kind of coach?
He was the freshman head coach.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that was my direct coach, like my freshman year.
Okay. So how is he? Because I know as kids he was real intense at time when we was real competitive, playing basketball, football, baseball. We all played, me, him, and his younger brother Trayvon. We played on rec teams together. We played baseball on separate teams, played football. So how was he as a coach? What's the things he taught you, being that you said that you didn't really understand football whatever as much?
I mean, he was the offensive coordinator mainly, and I didn't play O-line in high school. I played D-line, but I mean, he was an intense coach. Like, although he was coordinating the freshman offense, you know, if I was slacking or anybody else was slacking at practice, you know, he was gonna let us know. and he was gonna get down our throat and let us know, yelling at us, and that's how it should be. It's an intense sport, so you gotta have intense coaches.
Mm-hmm. So what did you learn that you say you didn't know? What's the first thing you learned as a freshman that you didn't learn, like in the Patriot League? And with the Sand Hill Patriots.
Probably just as a defensive lineman, just hands. Like, gotta have good hands. At the end of the day, you gotta have good hands. Your feet work can be as good as it want to be, but if you ain't got no hands and no strike, as a D lineman, you're worthless.
Okay, Crystal, you got a question. Crystal, you got a question?
No, I thought footwork was probably the most important, but you say it's hands. Okay.
Not for D line. Like, it's other positions where, like, your hands don't got to be as good, but your feet need to be good.
Mm-hmm.
But for defensive line specifically, it's hands.
Gotcha.
Okay. So by the time you got to from freshman to probably your junior senior season, what was the main? What's the thing that you grew the most in? What did you become like almost like great at? What was your thing that you was great at, or whatever that helped you get recruited?
It was really my get off and my strike. Like, I was strong, but I don't really think I was like super strong yet. I just had like a good get off. Like, soon as the ball moved, I was able to like time that good. Like, I got recruited at a Western Carolina camp. I went to they had an O-line, D-line camp. So I went up there as a D-lineman. We had helmets and shoulder pads on. And basically, we did this drill. It's called board drill. So it's a board. It's like a wooden board in between you. And you lined up over it. And it's an offensive lineman on the other side, and it's a defensive lineman on the other side. Whoever push the other person out the other side win. And I think I won like, I want to say like 3 in a row. Because, I mean, they had already invited people to that camp specifically that they wanted to watch. But, like, they let other people come too to raise money. So at that point, I was one of the other people to just raise money. And then I won about 3 of them. And the coaches seen I was dominating on the other end. So they brought me to the end where they had already had the people they was already recruiting and stuff like that. And I started winning over there. So after that first day of the camp, the coach from North Greenville pulled me to the side and said, "Yeah, you definitely got an offer from us." So.
Okay. So that was that the biggest school that recruited you at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Western Carolina, they talked to me, but we didn't really get more than a conversation, and they never pulled the trigger and offered me.
Okay. Because see, this is kind of the reason why I started this show. Just to give you kind of a background of history, because of players like yourself and players like Bradley Haskell. I know you know Bradley Haskell.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all grad? Y'all ain't grad. He a year behind you, right?
I think Bradley 2 years behind.
2 years. So players like yourself, because I remember the first time watching him play, and I remember the hype around him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, nah, this kid can't be this good. And I grew up with his dad. And I'm like, nah, this kid, like, I'm hearing all this hype. And I went to go see him, and he was good as advertised. And I always wondered, like, especially with Pinecrest football becoming better over the years, because when I went, we was straight garbage. Like, it was, we had the players, but record-wise, we couldn't beat a wet paper bag in the game. But but y'all program, when you was there, y'all were winning, on a consistent basis. But I wasn't seemed like y'all wasn't getting recruited at some of these bigger schools. And I'm like, okay, what's the problem? And that's why I started this, because I'm like, if I can build up a something where the players like yourself can come on and network, and to be able to say, okay, who is this kid? Maybe we can go back and look at him, or whatever. So whatever, and then y'all get a more opportunity. Not to say the schools y'all are in are not great schools. I'm just saying, at the same time, why not still get recruited by the Alabamas, the Georgias, and the other schools too? You know what I'm saying? To give players options. So what do you see do you see it's an issue, or a problem when it comes to coming from a smaller town school or whatever?
Well, and this might be a little bit biased, but when we was playing like teams like Scotland and Richmond and stuff like that, we seeing they players get offers from ECU and Campbell and big schools, but we not getting no big offers. Like I had a running back that I played with, Zathan Hill. He ran for 2,000 yards, and nobody in the state of North Carolina recruited him. No team in North Carolina, no team in South Carolina. And he had a 4.0 GPA and got a 1,000 on the SAT. So there was no reason for him not to be recruited. But it took a team, an Ivy League team all the way in Pennsylvania for him to get a Division I offer.
And now, before you continue, now Crystal, just educate Crystal on this. Now, Pinecrest is one of the probably best academic schools in the state of North Carolina. So what he's saying is, it's not like somebody making a 4.0 at some rinky-dink high school.
Yeah,
he's talking about academically wise, like the classes you take at Pinecrest, you're taking college courses early. You know what I'm saying? So what he's saying, you know what I'm saying, is almost ridiculous in what he's saying, what this kid brought to the table. But continue.
So he had a few teams talk to him in North Carolina, but nobody ever said, you know, we want to offer you. Like he was talking to Elon. Elon actually liked him, but they just stopped talking to him. It's like they found somebody better. But I mean, if you look up the stats, it wasn't many people that ran for 2,000 yards in their senior season. So, I mean, it was just little weird stuff. But as I went to school in South Carolina, what I realized is a lot of these players and these high school players go to camps. When I went to Pinecrest, we were encouraged not to go to camps because our coach told us we were going to get overlooked because we might be just as talented as the people from Richmond and Scotland and stuff like that, but we're also smaller. So our coach told us, like, yeah, y'all are going to get looked over, but we still should have went anyways just for an experience thing and just, you know, try it out. Like me, I was told that I was probably going to get overlooked at the Western Carolina camp. My coach really didn't want me to go because he said I was probably going to get overlooked. But if I didn't go to that camp, I wouldn't be playing football right now. So really, as a young football player coming up right now, I just encourage you to go to 3 big D1 camps every year, even if you go to the same 3 every year. Like if you go to the Clemson camp, you go to Duke camp, and you go to the NC State camp. To see what those camps, like you go to the NC State camp. I remember going to the NC State camp as a freshman, and it's more than just NC State there. You might have Wingate, Campbell. Like at a big D1 school, you'll have small D1s and Division II schools there too. Like I know, I want to say it was the Clemson camp last year. I just looked at who was going. I was already in school, but I just looked at what schools was going to be there. And I want to say Wingate was helping work it. My school was helping, and UNC Charlotte was helping. So basically what they'll do is if a person out there is too small to get recruited by Clemson, even though they're pretty good, if they're too small, what the smaller schools will do is they'll pull that kid to the side and let them know, like, yeah, you probably too small to play here. Clemson won't ever offer you, but you can come start at this school next year. Like, you're that good. So, but just for me, I would just encourage the kids to go to these camps. That's the only way you're going to get looked at.
Yeah, because you know how true I know that is because my kids, they grew up in the Atlanta area, in the South Atlanta area, Clayton County, to be more specific, Forest Park. And Forest Park was like the worst high school team I ever seen play in my life. And they was like 0-10, 1-9 every year, whatever. I'm talking about getting beat 50-0, 50-3. But they had one player who stood out, and he ended up going to Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, how is this happening where you could play at a team this bad, and even though you could tell he was better than everybody on the field, but he was able to get that scholarship, you know what I'm saying, at Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So that's why this is the whole thing of 910 Sports specific. Why I started this is because of what you're saying, is that players like yourself and others who, because like, what was your stat line? What was your like biggest stat game or stat year at Pinecrest?
Biggest stat year, I would say I have 4 sacks, I have 48 solo tackles, and I had 64 total tackles and 1 forced fumble. And that was my senior year. And like, I still, when I'm at school and stuff like that, like, as you meet new people, everybody start talking about their high school and stuff like that. So like, we all watch each other highlights. And I've had plenty of people ask me like, dang, how did you end up here? But it's just more of a thing. Like I talked to UNC Charlotte. They told me I was too short for them to offer me, like, give me a scholarship. Because they told me if I'd have been like 6'1", 6'2", they would have offered me immediately. They love my film, but they just I guess they really couldn't take that chance.
Okay.
Because you're 5'10", right?
5'10".
Okay.
And the thing about it is, like I said, I've kept up with you a little bit over the last couple of years, and you kind of dominated. You dominated a little bit on your freshman year at Greenville. So I mean, that let me know that you legit, because a lot of freshmen don't come in dominating, especially at DT. You know what I mean? Normally defensive tackle, defensive lineman, it take a year or two for them to kind of get acclimated and understand, and a lot of times the offensive linemen are super strong, and you know what I mean, so it's hard to get off the line when you were a freshman at that position. So just transition into that. How hard was it to transition to high school to college when you're dealing with certain things?
Well, I graduated high school early because I knew the transition was going to be big. So I ended up going to school a semester early. So I was supposed to go in the fall of 19, but I ended up going in the spring of 19. So I went a semester early so I can already get acclimated into the defense. So, but when I first got there, I mean, we was pretty much running the same plays as Pinecrest, but you really had to understand the concept of the play. Like at Pinecrest, if they called the play, we just ran the play. But there, it's like certain plays got a certain mentality to them. So, like, if we call a blitz or if we call a certain play, it's got a blitz mentality to it, which a blitz mentality just means go get the quarterback. Don't play the run, go get the quarterback. It's a pass rush time. And then you got, like, certain plays where it's stop the run first, we'll worry about the pass later. So, I mean, just probably the biggest transition to me was more mental than physical, in my opinion. It's bigger players, bigger, stronger players, but if you understand mentally, you can really make a lot more plays than you can physically. Because I know some physically strong people who not really that good, but if they had it in the mental area, then they would be great.
Okay. So what are you going to school for right now? What's your major?
I'm a business management major.
Okay, so what's your if once your career ends, whether it's after in college, NFL, whatever, what would be your a dream job or dream goal with that degree?
I don't know, man. I've been wanting to get into the restaurant business because I really got a passion for cooking too. I really been wanting to get in the restaurant business. I've been thinking about going to school, going to culinary school, after I get out of college, because that was really my original plan. Like if I never got to play college football, I was just gonna go straight to culinary school.
Okay. So Jacob, I see you got made it on, brother. So you got any questions? Have you been listening or whatever at
Yeah,
all?
I have. I followed the running back that he was talking about as well as him for some years because I have a lot of family in Charlotte that tell me about different schools, surrounding Charlotte and stuff like that. But the running back actually had 2,012 yards that season, and he was in from what a few of the coaches that used to coach at Independence. One of the secondary coaches was telling me about the running back. Is he actually got recruited by South Carolina State, Benedict College, Charleston Southern, and I think Valdosta State along with Savannah State. But the coaches never gave him the letters or never gave the school a call back as they do all the time with smaller schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I say nowadays, you have a lot of parents that recruit on max preps and huddle prep and a lot of different stat programs for high school kids that's trying to get to the collegiate level, and then you have a lot of coaches that outweigh the JUCO. But from what I understand, man, it's over 387 JUCO schools that have, football programs and stuff like that. And so a lot of coaches outweigh the JUCO, which a lot of players in the NFL came from JUCO. Mm-hmm. So, but a lot of coaches don't give these kids the letters. They don't return the phone calls. They don't even set up a meeting with the parents. And the guidance counselor of their school side with the coaches. And so they don't even set up meetings at all with the parents and the coach and the guys that try to get these kids in school. And so I definitely understand where he's coming from as far as the camps do matter. The camps get you seen by people who would never even see you.
Yeah, and you probably right with that, because like my coach that coached me, he isn't even there no more, but we heard plenty of instances where he would tell people like, oh no, you don't want to go there. Even if they received the letter and they gave it to him, like, hey, coach, I think they want to recruit me. He would tell them, hey, you don't want to go there. Which is like, that's not really, at the end of the day, that's not your decision. Because I'm sure Valdosta State, I'm sure those other schools that you named definitely wanted to recruit him, but never heard nothing back. Like, I know I didn't find out until probably 2 months later that 2 months after I had already committed and went to school, that Winston-Salem State had came to the school to see me, and they was probably going to offer me on the spot. And I never heard nothing until 2 months later because he told them I wasn't interested.
Wow.
Well, how can you make that decision for me? You didn't ask me if I wanted to go there. He just made that decision for me, and I just don't think that's right. And for the running back too, I mean, I'm sure he would have appreciated all those offers of Savannah State, Valdosta State, because we play Valdosta State. They're in my conference. Like, they're still in the playoffs right now. They're the number one team in the nation right now. I play in the hardest D2 conference out there. We had, at one point of the season, we had 5 teams ranked in the top 25 in the nation for D2. We had 5 teams, and it's only 8 teams in our conference. If that lets you know anything.
Yeah.
Right. And then another thing, man, is how I know he got recruited. My little cousin used to be quarterback for Union County High School, and his name is Kashawn Glover. Mm-hmm. And so Kashawn used to talk about him all the time because Kashawn's daddy stays in Charlotte. And so people in Charlotte know who he was because a lot of coaches that coached at Independence High School, which one of the most winning programs in Charlotte, know who he was. So with that being said, man, y'all had a few players along with yourself, man, that was probably highly recruited by HBC, JUCO, Division II, small Division Ones, but the coaches want the spotlight in a lot of situations, and they don't give the athletes their due justice. So with that being said, man, that's how I definitely know about him, who he is, and the things he did, as well as when I found out who you was, and I had been following you for quite some time, because I follow a lot of D linemen, offensive linemen, because that's my position, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. So that's the position I play. So I follow a lot of standing out players, and they don't get, and a lot of them are going to JUCO now. I got a cousin, my cousin CJ Boxer. He went to JUCO. He just graduated, so he's probably going to go to either Eastern Kentucky or I think it's Northwestern Arkansas, but they're still Division One, but they're not a Division One like a Clemson or Alabama, but they are still Division One. So it's a lot of great schools out there. And if you was recruited by Winston-Salem State, man, you would have played against some great HBCUs and got a chance to get seen a little bit more. And a lot of times when it comes to coaches that are not familiar with HBCU or don't follow HBCU, they just throw the letters in the trash, man. So I definitely understand what you're saying, but we got to start holding these coaches accountable, man. Cause I hold Saluda coaches in my old high school. I hold him accountable all the time. I even had some parents to call and talk to me about him, and I said, y'all got to hold him accountable. These y'all kids, man. You know what I mean? And you can tell when a coach is a great coach, but you can tell when a coach won a championship off pure talent. And that last state championship Saluda won was off pure talent. It wasn't off coaching skills, bro. Yeah. He had these guys that had been playing together since they was Pop Warner, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and these guys had been playing together for a long time, so they really knew each other. Defensively, offensive, special teams, all the above. So, but yeah, man, we definitely got to hold these coaches accountable, especially when it comes to our young black athletes.
100% agree with you. And then my coach, I know he wasn't really that familiar with HBCUs. That's how I know. That's why he was like, he don't really know, you feel me, what it's like to go to a HBCU. He don't know what it's like to get that offer from an HBCU. So he just kind of threw it out the window because that's where he would want to go. But at the end of the day, it's not about him. So, but yeah.
Okay. So is your ultimate goal? Are you passionate about really trying to push yourself to make it to the NFL? Is that something that you really dreamed about as a kid, or is it just kind of like your education is more important, the most important thing? How do you balance it all out?
It's something I dreamed about as a kid, but when I realized most of the D linemen in the league is about 6'4", 6'5", and I'm 5'10", I kind of put that to the side. I'm not gonna chase it too hard. Now you still got some D linemen out there in the league, you feel me, that's short, that's doing their thing. Obviously Aaron Donald, Linval Joseph. So I mean that's still definitely right there in my pocket. I think so. Like I told you, I play in the best D2 conference in the nation. We got NFL guys every year. So I mean it's definitely not discouraged from it, but I missed a few games this year at the beginning of the year. I was trying to get all conference this year. So hopefully I'm shooting for, I got 2 more years of eligibility. So I think if I can get All-American these next 2 years, I think if I can go for an All-American spot, I think I can definitely be talking to some teams at the end of the day.
How many sacks did you have this past season? Or how many tackles, sacks? What was your stat line or the games that you did? No, how many games did you end up playing?
I ended up playing 5 games.
Okay, so what was your numbers in those for those 5 games you played?
First game back, I had, I want to say it was 6 tackles, 1 for a loss, a forced fumble recovery, and a sack. First game back, and then second game was West Georgia. I didn't really put up no stats that week. I think I only had 1 tackle, but that was a big passing game, and it wasn't like a lot of these teams know how to, like, these some really good coaches out here at this D2 level. Like, I think a lot of people sleep on the D2 level. It's some really good coaches out here, and they know how to scheme around our defense, I guess. So, like, if we sitting in cover 3 the whole game, they just gonna run stuff to beat cover 3, which is quick passes. So they ran a bunch of quick passes, and then I forgot who came after West Georgia. It might have been, I think it was West Alabama. I had like maybe 2 tackles. I had a few pressures. I didn't get no sack. I had a few pressures. And then Valdosta State, who was number 1 in the nation at the time, I ended up having 6 tackles, 1 for a loss, and I think I had a quarterback hit, but he had just threw the ball, and I think that was it for that game. And then I guess last game of the season, we played Shorter University. It's in Rome, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
We played them, and that was senior night, so I didn't play as much that game because he wanted to get the seniors plays, which I'll never complain about that. It's their last
blew
game.
them out.
Yeah, we won 56. I want to say 56-0 that game. I had like 2 tackles that game. So, I mean, but like after the season, I talked to my coaches and they pulled me to the side and they was all telling me, they was like, you feel me? If we would have had you them first 5 games, our defense would have been a lot better. And not to toot my own horn, but like once I got back, our defense really took strides, like as a defense, like not letting up as many points when I got back. But that was just, missing a piece. We was missing a piece on the D line because we got some good D linemen. But, at that college level, you can't really have that many gaps in your defense. Like you can't have you need all 11 players to be good to have a great defense. And if you only got 10 players out there doing their job, then them college, like I said, them offensive coordinators out there, they know how to scheme against it, and they gonna figure out who the weak link is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll attack.
Yeah. So I mean, it sounded like what you were saying. You had good numbers because I mean, I've seen players that made it NFL college level wouldn't have, especially a deep tackle, wouldn't have 6 tackles in a game, and
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. That's not something they necessarily would do every game or whatever. So it sounds like to me that you got a potential to dominate because next year you're saying you're going into your junior season, right?
Yep.
So you definitely have the potential to dominate. And the thing about college football is you don't necessarily have to be at a D1 like a top school to get like drafted. You know what I mean? You see players come from smaller schools all the time, from your Shannon Sharps to Savannah State to this one and that one or whatever. You see players come all the time over the years, come from smaller schools and dominate in the NFL. So, you know what I mean? So I think, you definitely have the potential. But Crystal, Jacob, y'all got any questions?
No, man, just I just want to thank you for coming on the show, man, and stay in touch, man. This summer, maybe gonna try to run a football camp in my hometown, and so I even might want you to come through, man, and so you can help these high school defensive linemen. So once I get it set in tune with the principal, I have Eddie to reach out to you, man, and give you some dates and see if you'll be available because a lot of the high schools don't have the camps no more. So, with Eddie's nephew, one of his nephews played for Oregon, one in the NFL, and along with you, and then reaching out to the quarterback at South Carolina State as well, which is my cousin's son, and just trying to do a camp for the youth.
Yeah, do that. Sure, keep in touch with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you didn't answer your question yet. The question that Jacob normally asks is, as far as like giving back to the community and things in the community. What are some of your passions in the community?
Passes in the community. So while I'm home for Christmas break, I wanted to go to the local elementary school, and I wanted to just see, like, ask the principal for somebody like who's at risk or don't really have too much. And I was just gonna try to be a mentor to them through my Christmas break time, and then probably take them Christmas shopping, get them a few gifts, just to show them, somebody's there for them. If they don't have like a father figure or something like that, because a lot of these kids around here, they get lost in that life. Like, I've seen plenty of talent come through Pinecrest and just get wasted because they just wanted to be the cool person or something like that. But really, just trying to show them that ain't the way you got to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what's your dish? What's your go-to dish? Since you say you a cook, what's your go-to dish?
Probably I don't know. Like the best thing I make is either the mac and cheese or the smoked ribs. One of the two.
Okay.
Just make both of them.
Yeah, you got to let the people decide that one, because I done had people tell me, man, you got to make them ribs again. But I done had people, pay me to make their mac and cheese for their family on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So did you make Thanksgiving macaroni this year?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Then it's legit. Then if you get to make it for
legit.
Thanksgiving, it's legit.
I made mac and cheese. I did I did some pulled pork, and I did fried turkey.
Okay. Well, I might have to holler at you, and then you do it. If I'm
so Derek just let me know, man. Once you cook for these boo things you got, you have to fight them off, man. Because one thing about females, if they don't do nothing else, they love to damn eat. Believe that. Let the church say amen. Let the church say amen.
That's a whole other conversation. But anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on here, man. We're gonna continue to watch your career, watch you blossom. Like I said, I grew with the high school with your mom, so I definitely keep up with all my classmates' kids. When they're doing big things out there, so we definitely want to continue to follow you, and then hopefully bring you back on here in the future, so you can hopefully we'll be bring you back here when you getting drafted too, or even before that. But like I said, Jacob, we're gonna get in contact with you about these camps, stuff like that, and keep you in the loop with things we got going on over here. So, but I definitely tell everybody where they can follow you at the end of the day.
Oh, you said for me to tell them where they can follow me?
Yes.
You can follow me on Instagram. It's moneybag with 2 G's and _rod with 2 D's.
Okay. I appreciate you coming on, man. Are y'all any? Because I know two different. Are y'all any kind of playoff run or any kind of bowl game or?
No, we went 5-6 this year. Now my first year we went 3-7. So we still improving, still recruiting. We starting to get out of state more just because we realized, like, playing in that conference, like I told you, that's a hard conference. And the thing is, our school costs so much that we don't really get to recruit out of state
right
as much because the out of state tuition. So like in South Carolina, the South Carolina tuition grant, that might give a student $20,000 so our coach can offer, 3 South Carolina players for the price of 1 Georgia player. So what he'll do is he'll just offer the 3 South Carolina players and then just try to develop them. But the problem is with that, with playing in our conference is we having to develop our players. These other schools is getting players who already ready to play.
Right.
And ready to just come in and just dominate immediately. But we're starting to get some more out-of-state kids.
Okay,
So
cool.
once we start getting the Georgia kids and the Charlotte kids, because if you look at the map, Greenville is 2 hours away from Charlotte, and it's exactly 2 hours away from Atlanta. So, I mean, it ain't like we ain't got talent around.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know as any kid, you know, if you from Atlanta or Charlotte, 2 hours ain't that far away from home. So,
yeah, but
it's just far enough for you to get your freedom too.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but one thing about North Greenville, and you know, I got some partners that went to that school. That is a school when it first started, it was heavily funded by the church. So and the school is not under LLC, it's on a 501c13 nonprofit law. And so it's under the Christian nonprofit law. And so a lot of things that they was offered, they turned down just because of the Southern Baptist community.
Yeah,
but
we're still funded by them.
Okay. So and as I see this growing though, and there's a few more grants that's coming out that's going to help out of state tuition kind of the cost kind of go down, and that way the school can offer, you know, partial scholarships, but it'll be a full ride because they get that grant money too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a kind of prestigious school. It's got some laws that you would normally see at a regular school, like because they want to keep that 501c13 nonprofit thing where they follow the bylaws as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on, brother. You have a rest of a good day, a good day, and great day, and you know, a great holiday. And we'll talk soon.
All right, y'all too. Y'all stay in touch.
All right.
All right, peace.
All right,
peace. Yeah, so basically, we get to do this rundown real quick on these games. I appreciate everybody coming on this morning. You didn't have to come on, brother. I mean, you could have rested up, man.
Yeah, man, I wasn't feeling the best, but you know, I wanted to come on and just see both of y'all face so I can gloat a little bit, you know. So I can. No, I ain't see you ain't let me finish what I said I'm gonna gloat about. Okay, I'm gonna say, man, I just don't really think y'all need to really, when I tell you something gonna happen, it's gonna happen, man. Like, listen, man, I told y'all that Georgia wasn't built like that.
Oh, bro, okay.
Bro, listen here, man. If you remember back when they played Clemson, they weren't built like that, bro. They no, bro. And Clemson lost 3 games this year, but they was not an impressive team this year. They was really not that good. The defense just really held them together. That's all. The offense didn't really hold them together. The defense held Clemson together. So, with that being said, I said, man, that coach of Alabama, the GOAT of college football, I said I know he was gonna out coach Georgia coach. He gonna tear them apart. He gonna put foot all in their ass, and he did.
Well, you definitely seen the talent disparity when it came to them wide receivers, because that was the difference in the game. They couldn't stop Jalen or Jaywan Williams and Beecham. Right. They couldn't stop, and they couldn't do nothing with them at all. And the front 7 wasn't getting any pressure, and that
was the problem.
That front 7 wasn't getting no pressure.
None. He had all day to throw the ball.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
If you got all day, you gonna be able to tell defense apart if you got all day to throw.
And Crystal, I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna say when your defensive lineman, as you say, can't get any penetration, the lineman can't even shoot through the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
they didn't do anything.
When that quarterback set back and that right guard pull and that left guard pull too, and they close that gap up like that, it is no penetration. Mm-hmm. And then when Alabama was on defense, even when they ran the ball, man, they boxed the defense ends like that, and there was no outside containment, none. And so,
but Georgia quarterback had a lot of time too. He just didn't have nobody. It was like he didn't have nobody to throw it to.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he had no, like I talked about earlier.
I
don't know what was going on with Pickens because they put him out there. He made a big play and then they didn't use him anymore. So I don't know if he was still, maybe he got another tweak or something and he didn't say nothing. But they needed somebody to take the top off because tight ends wasn't doing enough for them to scare Alabama and to like back Alabama up at all. So you know what I mean, or make them play honest. Alabama didn't have to play honest at all yesterday. You know what I mean? They could play it exactly how they could. They basically play a basic defense against Georgia yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
I actually had faith in Georgia this year. Never believe in them. I never go with them. And I actually was like, this was Alabama. Alabama's really good. Even on their down years, they're still really good.
Mm-hmm.
But this wasn't as impressive of a team as he normally has. So for me, but the Georgia team, this was one of their better teams.
Mm-hmm.
So especially defensively. So to me, I was like, this is your best chance. Kirby Smart, this is your chance to beat him. He kind of down. He ain't really down because his down year is better than most teams' best years, but still.
Right.
And they wasn't even close.
Yeah.
He just got out-coached again. The talent level, actually, Georgia's probably slightly more talented than Alabama, at least on paper. As far as the 5-star, 4-star, they're slightly more talented than Alabama.
But this
coaching is slightly below.
Yeah.
Right. But this Georgia team is good, but this Georgia team is not exclusive like the team that Todd Gurley played on. No way, shape, fashion, or form.
But offensively they're not, but defensively they are. They didn't even impose their will defensively.
Not at all.
Right.
They didn't even do that. I expected them to do that at least.
Because the thing about it is, you got to think, Stidham is built. He was built to just hold the fort down. Because if that defense, let's just say the defense was averaging 7 points a game, be giving up. Let's just say they would have held Alabama. Let's just say to like 17. They would have had a legit chance to win that game.
Right.
If you're giving up 38 points when you averaging 7, and then you asking that quarterback to do way too much, and he's not built like that. He's not.
Not only is he not built like that, he hasn't been asked to do that all year.
At all.
So then what happens, this is what happens when you see how a quarterback is built. Like, so as you say, Icon E, mentally, most quarterbacks can't make adjustments. So that makes them mediocre in your eyes. And so what we have seen that who can't make adjustments in crunch time, Tannehill can't make adjustments. Dak Prescott struggle with adjustments. Josh Allen is going to struggle with adjustments because you know why? Because New England is going to beat the living dog shit out of them today. Believe what I tell you. Beat the living dog
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
You think so?
Yeah,
I'm actually nervous about that one. I actually put that one as an L for us.
The reason I'm not nervous because Bill Belichick is going to look at this as like it's going to give him flashback when y'all played the Giants in the Super Bowl. Watch, he's gonna beat the hell out of them, man.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because being the minute we limited on time, I was just gonna cover the main games.
Okay. I want to say one more thing about college. Cincinnati can beat any college in the nation. Promise it.
Well, your boy Jeremy picked him. He picked him to beat Alabama.
Listen, man. Cincinnati can beat any because they're not a big name school that's been winning. People are scared that Cincinnati is going to beat everybody, bro, and that's why they try to deny them all year. Yep, but if Cincinnati get there, bro, it's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap. Believe what I tell you.
Oh yeah, they're gonna play Alabama in the first game. Believe that they trying to get them out the way early.
So I was trying to figure out why would they play Alabama first because Michigan should be number 1.
They should, but
so shouldn't it be Michigan, Cincy? Or we don't
want. But they saying Alabama gonna be number 1 because they beat the number 1 team in the country. So they're already saying Alabama gonna be number 1, Michigan gonna be number 2.
Gotcha.
Georgia gonna be 3, and Cincinnati gonna be 4. That's what they.
Why should Georgia still be in it?
I mean,
they only lost 1 game.
I mean, who's you gonna put? I mean, I agree. I don't like that thing where you get a second chance like that, especially at the end of the season. But we talk about the SEC. We already know how they are for the SEC.
So it's no more
And whoever
undefeated
else
teams?
lost too.
No, nobody else is undefeated.
Right.
So how many other teams lost one game?
Notre Dame, but Notre Dame hurt themselves because they don't play in the conference championship. So that's what hurts Notre Dame. Oklahoma State messed up because they lost yesterday. They could have got in if they would have won. Who else was it behind them? I think that was about it. That was the only two teams that was really fighting for a spot. Was Michigan, was Oklahoma State, and Notre Dame. But like I said, Notre Dame hurts themselves because they're not in the conference championship. You know what I'm saying? I think that's another reason why Brian Kelly left too, because every year, it's kind of like he battled with too many extra things going on. But that's another conversation for another day.
So we're gonna go to the NFL real quick, but why do you think Notre Dame is not in a conference? Because they were supposed to come to the ACC one time. At one time they were.
Because they don't want to fully commit. So that's why they're kind of in the ACC, but they're not.
Right.
They
play
games against ACC teams, but they're not officially in because they still got those contracts with the network and all that. So because of their outside obligations, they don't want to fully commit to a conference. So
it's been said that a lot of students are going to stop coming to them just because of that reason, because they don't feel like they don't feel like they have a fair chance of even winning the college championship because they don't play in a division or anything like that. So they just feel like they don't.
That then they might have to jump on somebody. They might just fully commit to the ACC then at some point because they was there for 1 year last year because of COVID, which kind of was like kind of crazy that they allowed them to be in it. That's why they was in the conference championship game last year, because they was actually allowed to be in the conference for 1 year. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we got real quick. I'm just gonna go to the games that really matter. Of course, we said the Patriots and the Bills. I agree with you. I feel like Bill Belichick gonna find the Bills kind of been struggling on and off. They haven't been as consistent as they were early. And like y'all tried to tell me that the Bills wasn't that good to begin with. So I think that they will get exposed because it seems like Bill Belichick and the Patriots done hit their stride. They done figured some things out. So I'm nervous. I still think they're going to beat the Bills.
I don't want the Cowboys to play them no more. I tell you that.
I know that's right.
Hell no.
And then we got the Broncos and the Chiefs. I mean, if you want to call that a marquee game, that is tonight.
I'm going to go Chiefs.
Yeah, I do think Chiefs. I think, definitely Chiefs.
Hey, I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna go Broncos only because my cousin Crisis Bryant get on my fucking nerves. You know what I mean? He get on my damn nerves. So yeah, I'm hoping that old boy can pull it off for the Broncos, and so I can be crip walking in the kitchen. You know what I mean?
And then I got the Ravens and the Steelers. Ravens and the Steelers is you already know that might be a good game.
Actually, man, even though we talk about Big Ben being in a wheelchair and him getting Medicaid in Medicare, but Big Ben's stats are not too far off from Lamar stats.
And
Lamar had a horrible game last week.
Yeah,
I looked at it this morning. It ain't that much, man. It ain't that. Even though it's been as horrible as he has been, but he have had. This game will be bad, but the next game will be phenomenal. This game will be mediocre, but the next game will be phenomenal. So he has had some good games, but you can tell he said he on his way out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He said his body constantly hurt. He said that on an interview, my body constantly hurt. He said how Peyton Manning said his body constantly hurt, and that's why he had to get out. He said the same thing. His body constantly hurt.
I mean, I'll put it like this. It's going to be a good game just because it's a rivalry game. Both of them, they get up. It's like a Carolina Duke game. One of the teams could be off that year, but when they play each other, they're going to bring their A game. They're going to play at a different level. So I think either this is going to be one of those down field goal, last second field goal type games more than likely. You know what I'm saying?
What's going on? Who you got though?
I got
I got Steelers.
I got the Ravens slightly.
I'm gonna go Ravens, but I really don't know.
Yeah. Let me see another game. Well, we got my you know what? As bad as I want to pick my boys to beat the Raiders and then Waller out, so I'm like, ooh, we might have a legit chance today. Really got a legit chance. But that's what you call it. Derek Carr, that's his security blanket is Waller.
They're gonna cheat anyway. They gonna cheat on y'all anyway, bro.
They gonna cheat on us?
Yep.
Well, why? Because it's in Vegas.
The Raiders ain't shit, boy. Like man, when you put a team in a place where it's nothing but fake marriages, hoochies, hoes, prostitutes, pimps, and jimps, hell no, bro.
Yeah. All right. Oh shoot. I mean, Niners and Seahawks. I think the Niners gonna go. I mean,
man, that ain't even a game, man. Like I don't want to talk about no Nerf football teams. If I want to watch the Niners and the Seahawks, I just turn on Netflix and look at Snoop Dogg Part 1 of team.
I guess all the other game really that's worth talking about that might be competitive is Chargers and Bengals. I mean, that's an intriguing game.
And you don't know which team, either team gonna show up.
No.
Yeah.
Both of them like
I mean, we got Joe Blow the Lover, man, and we got Herbert the Pimp. Okay. I mean, I don't know, man.
I mean, what I'm looking at too, I'm looking at more like storylines, like are the Rams, how is they're gonna get, that's not necessarily, I think they're gonna beat the Jags, but how did that Odell Beckham thing, is he gonna get his opportunities today? So some of these games, I'm not even looking at wins and losses. I'm looking at more like storylines.
Like they should try to establish him this game.
Exactly.
Well, this is what I think about the Rams, and this is why I don't like punk ass Sherman Vick. This is why I don't like his ass, because when you have elite receivers, you have to build a playbook just for those elite receivers, man. You know what I mean? Like if you ever seen Jimmy Johnson interview, he would tell you that they had to build a playbook for Michael Irvin. They built one for Alvin Harper. They built one for Jay Novacek. He said he had playbooks built exactly for those particular receivers. You know what I mean? Like Odell Beckham is a person that you build his own separate playbook.
But you got to give him time. He ain't been there for 3 weeks.
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, if you look at the way the Giants orchestrated his talent, Eli had a playbook that was built for Odell Beckham. You know what I mean? Eli had a playbook that was built for Plaxico Berry, for Cruz. You know what I mean? Like that's what makes that receiver and that a quarterback elite. You know what I mean? Just like when with Brett Favre had Robert Brooks and Antonio Freeman, elite. You know what I mean? Just like when the Joe Montana had Jerry Rice and Johnny Taylor, elite. You know what I mean? That playbook was elite. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't got nothing against the young coaches, but the young coaches don't think and are not creative as these old school coaches were, man. These like being about your money is one thing, but understanding what a player's strengths are is a whole different battle. That's what made Bill Belichick so good. He understands what your quarterback strengths are. And he understands that he can take a mediocre player that was in the third round, and if the quarterback listens to him, he can make them elite. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Brady wouldn't have did this with Brady wouldn't have did that with no other team. No.
Well, anyway, so we went a little bit over time, but we should be all right. Anyway, man, I thank the guests for coming on today, Jeremy V. Jackson, and Rodney Evans. Basically, we definitely told Jeremy we're gonna bring him back right before the season starts. Like I said, I don't know if he was watching.
And one thing I tell you about Jeremy is a great person. Like if you got a son, or whether they play basketball, volleyball, baseball, whatever, he talks to a lot of D1, D2, D3, JUCO. He's heavy in the JUCO, so he helps those athletes get in school. You know what I mean? Like, cause he goes to a lot of coaching conferences, a lot of camps and stuff like that. And that's another thing, that a lot of coaches don't go to the conferences like they supposed to, bro. Because they have nationwide coaching conferences, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely got to be here to help push the envelope, and they have hold these coaches accountable or whatever for these players, because a lot of these players are getting hurt by these coaches not being lazy, not doing their job or whatever, more focused on themselves and not the players, or whatever. And a great coach knows if you got great players and got a great program, your day gonna come. But if you so focused on just yourself, then you're gonna have situations like, because the thing about it is it's a bigger storyline around the Pinecrest coach who left that program, who was under scrutiny for years. You know what I'm saying? Even though they were winning at a higher rate, it's a lot of backstory to that coach. That's why when Rodney was talking about it, there's a lot of stuff that went on with that coach behind the scenes.
Where's he coaching at now?
He's a athletic director. Not Richmond. Is it Richmond, Scotland? I forgot, but I know he left and became an athletic director at one of the other counties, the counties nearby. I want to say, I'm not sure if it's Richmond County or Scotland. It's one of the counties. He's still in the conference, though. I think he's still in the same conference, but he's an athletic director now.
Is that out there by Hamlet High School?
I think so. Yeah, like Hamlet, Rockingham, and Richmond County. You know, Richmond County High School. That's out there in Rockingham, which is right past Hamlet, like 10.
Yeah. So Richmond County High School is out there by the racetrack, the speedway.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. But I think I'm not sure if it's Richmond, but I know whatever conference he went to. I mean, whatever school he went to, I have to look it up. He is still in the conference that I'm almost certain of, because I remember reading about it or whatever. But like I said, it was a lot of stuff that, like he talked about, it's a lot of stuff that was going at the alumni and the parents and stuff was not happy with this coach. And I didn't never know, because I had left for a while, and I kept hearing how they was trying to get him fired like 3 years ago. And I'm like, why would you fire a coach who's winning? You know what I'm saying? So, Pinecrest not used to winning. So why? So I knew, like, okay, something else had to be going on for them to want to fire this coach. But it was a lot of, I guess, stuff he was doing, like illegal recruiting, and he was doing a lot of underhand stuff at this school. That was, I guess that they had to get him up out of there. So, but anyway, yeah. So maybe we'll figure out what's going on that and bring that up at a later date to find out exactly what's going on with that. But anyway, man, we got 910 Sports Reloaded Wednesday night, 10 o'clock. We can really get more in depth in a lot of these storylines, especially really break down this college football playoff thing, because I'm really intrigued about talking about that even more. Go over more of these NFL games and other discussions on Wednesday night. And
we also can break down the 3-part trade, which will land Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons to Portland, and may send C.J. McCullough and Damian Leonard. Damian may go to Portland and C.J. may go to Philly. I was reading a blog on that last night. It's not concrete, but that's what they were talking about in the blog.
Well, I don't even want to get my hopes up until that happens. Like,
wait, who gonna come to LA?
Nobody's coming to LA. LA gonna get what's his name? Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield. All right, and then it'll be that trade will be like three, four ways. It'll send Westbrook and Ben Simmons to Portland. It'll take Dame to the Nets. It'll take McCullough to Philly, and Kyrie will end up either it's Denver or either it's Utah.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
Well, I mean, in our eyes, it may not happen, but it might make business sense to somebody else.
It might. I can't see it though, 'cause I think Kyrie don't mess it up.
Yeah. Because Portland wants both of them out, You know what I mean? And Portland want to rebuild from the ground up. I don't know why the GM and the owner want to do that, but
it's time.
You know,
it's time.
They want to rebuild from the ground up, and they want to really from what I understand, they want to see what Chauncey really can do on building from the ground up.
Well, you already know my 5-year thing. If you can't win after 5 years, after that, I done built the whole team around you. Then somebody got to go. That's why I think Boston. I think that Tatum and Jaylen Brown situation gonna come to an end by the trade deadline.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Joe Embiid is pushing for Jaylen Brown to come to Philly as well.
Yeah, they need.
That'll be a good. That'll be a good addition for them.
Not the coach or not the GMs, but that's what Embiid is going to the front office asking for.
Yeah, okay. you see what the Milwaukee doing. Milwaukee ain't playing no games. They went out and got Wes Matthews. They went out and got a DeMarcus Cousins, which I think that's what they needed. They needed more offense. Their defense is solid. They needed DeMarcus Cousins, give them a different element in that front court. You know what I'm saying?
Bomb?
Huh? Yeah, he ain't doing nothing.
He a bomb.
I mean, he give him enough. He give him another scoring punch, like something else. Because he don't need defense. They don't need defense.
But he gonna get exposed on defense anyway.
Yeah, we're talking about.
Hey, Chris, as Church Pro said, bum.
So listen. Today, anybody, like I said, we got 420 We Lit Radio. They re-air us at 2 p.m. every Sunday.
Okay.
Throughout the week, we got Benita's show out in Delaware. What she started doing was she took episode 1 all the way up till now, and she airs different episodes, I think every night or every other night. Until they get all the way caught up, so that people get acclimated with us out there in Delaware, Connecticut, New York, where her fan base is. So we are in different fan bases in different, areas right now. So that's a good look for us, what we got, what's going on. So just to let everybody know, I think her show is 8:00. I gotta send you the link, Crystal. I sent Jacob the link to how to go to her radio's Blog Talk Radio. How to get on there, and you can actually register and then check out other stuff they got going on. But she a good folk. She the one that's going. So we supposed to be getting an assistant to an NFL scout. So that's supposed to be next week. So hopefully that'll go off without a hitch. When we get the assistant to an NFL scout on here next week, and that's because of her, or whatever. So yeah. So but anyway, y'all have a blessed day, and we'll get at y'all. It's your boy Icon, my man, Get Jacob, the great, and my girl Crystal, aka C Murder, aka Mr. West Wildfire.
Peace.